look like something out of a science fiction film. Fighter jets that use stealth technology. Their design renders them virtually invisible to enemy radar. In a battle situation, this invisibility cape would lend them a decisive edge.
It looks like a Decepticon.
They sneak up to the enemy in order to destroy it. And it's not just aircraft. Modern battleships also use stealth technology to remain undetected. The Eurofighter Typhoon is also a master of disguise.
I'm a test pilot, and this is my workplace.
The Eurofighter sports a very small radar cross-section. Seeing and being seen can spell the difference between victory and defeat. For the military, stealth technology promises to fulfill the age-old dream of invisibility. But anti-stealth technology is still advancing. The race to stay under the radar is heating up. Camouflage and speed are vital.
It's like driving a sport car.
We will deliver success.
How can a ship escape detection on the high seas? In 1917, during World War I, the artist Norman Wilkinson developed a form of camouflage for the British Navy. Geometric patterns and bright colors helped break up the ship's form. Radar hadn't been invented yet, but camouflage made it difficult for German submarines to detect the distance and course of British ships. Modern technology requires far more sophisticated camouflage. The USS Zumwalt destroyer is one of the world's most modern battleships and draws heavily on stealth technology. Carbon fiber composites, special paint, and the battleship's unique design help scatter enemy radar. The ship is named after Admiral Elmo R. Zumwalt, who served in the U.S. Navy during the Second World War. In the Vietnam War, he was the highest-ranking naval officer.
It's a stealth destroyer, so this ship is designed to be hard to detect. This ship has a radar cross-section 1/50th of its previous classes of destroyers. Previous classes of destroyers have about 300 sailors, so we have about half the number of sailors running a ship that's 1.5 times the size.
The first section of the Zumwalt was laid down in 2011. 5 years and $4 billion later, it went into service. The Zumwalt is the lead ship in a new class of destroyer. But due to construction costs, the planned fleet was cut from 32 ships to just 3. Sloping sides and sharp angles make for a striking appearance. All of the equipment and weaponry is under the hull. This helps minimize the ship's radar signature. The destroyer can reach a speed of 30 knots and is very agile. With its stealth technology, the Zumwalt looks like a small fishing boat on an enemy radar screen.
It's a stealth destroyer, so this ship is designed to be hard to detect, both from a radar cross-section perspective, from acoustics, the sound that goes in the water, and that provides this ship an advantage out there, potentially during combat operations, to be a much harder vessel to detect, to track, and potentially attack. It's also a very survivable vessel, and we have a lot of automated systems on the ship to combat fires, flooding, and other damage. The other thing that makes it very unique is its integrated power system. We produce 78 megawatts of power, and that 78 megawatts of power then can be used for our propulsion, all of our weapons and sensors on the ship, and have power to spare for potentially opportunity for the weapons and sensors of the future.
Under the hull, the destroyer resembles a floating city. Along with a fully equipped medical facility, it also sports a hair salon and gym. On a mission lasting several months, the crew needs to stay fit and keep their spirits up. A bit of privacy also makes a difference.
There's 3 things it takes to be a sailor on Zumwalt, and it's a high level of technical expertise, great teamwork, happily sharing the burdens with one another. Big ship, lots of new equipment and technology. We have to happily share the burdens with one another or we won't get the job done. And then toughness. It has taken a great deal of mental, physical toughness, to get through what we've had to get through over the last 3 years to get this ship ready to go.
A training exercise is underway. The Zumwalt is docked. In this scenario, an unidentified object has appeared in the vicinity. In August 2000, the USS Cole was attacked during refueling in Yemen's Aden harbor. 17 sailors were killed. Battleships are especially vulnerable to attack in foreign harbors. From a special ramp, a small boat descends to the water. The sailors investigate the unidentified object.
The boat is amazing. It's much more maneuverable than the standard 7-meter that Arleigh Burkes and the cruisers are using and most other ships. And its versatility is amazing, and the speed is great. It's nothing better than doing 40 knots in a small boat on the water,
The object is quickly located and identified. The speedboat crew return to the destroyer. Training exercises like these are a frequent event. They help ensure that the crew will respond quickly and correctly should the need arise.
I had the opportunity to observe my sailors operating the ship, driving the ship, operating the bridge control console, and it was really marvelous how quickly, after a year plus for many of these folks, standing a pre-commissioning unit duty in a building, how quickly they snapped into a seagoing mode of operations, how quickly old habits came back, and really how well this ship handled and performed out there.
Along with guided missiles, the destroyer is also fitted with two 155mm naval guns. Their barrels are only extended in battle, since they would otherwise be too visible on radar systems. The guns fire a special type of rounds and have a reach of 160 kilometers with deadly precision. A new generation of gun, the railgun, is being tested. An electrical current flows through two parallel rails to generate a magnetic field, which launches a high-velocity projectile. They have a range of 350 kilometers and can reach speeds of up to 9,000 kilometers per hour. The railgun system could even be suited to intercept cruise missiles or intercontinental ballistic missiles. The stealth destroyer has a pared-down crew of only 158, the result of a high level of automation. But preparing meals is still a daunting task. The menu is varied. Good food helps boost morale and troop readiness. The destroyer is so stealthy that during peacetime activities, it's fitted with special radar reflectors that allow it to be detected by other ships. The USS Zumwalt has launched a new era for the U.S. Navy. It's become the prototype for a new generation of stealth battleships. The Nevada Desert in the southwestern United States is home to Nellis Air Force Base. A B-2 Spirit is arriving for routine maintenance. The strategic stealth bomber is designed to deploy conventional and thermonuclear weapons. The Spirit was designed to penetrate undetected into Soviet airspace to release its nuclear payload during the Cold War. It still ranks as the world's most expensive fighter jet. 21 of them were built. As a mainstay of the American nuclear deterrence arsenal, they're ready to be deployed around the clock. The maintenance work is meticulous. Even minute damage to the hull could render the bomber visible to enemy radar. Afterwards, the bomber is refueled. It has to be ready for deployment as quickly as possible.
I feel like there's a certain amount of prestige being assigned to a B-2. There's only about 20 of them. So you being a DCC, a ADCC of one of those is very, very rare, and it's a it's a good honor to be chosen to be one of those, to crew one of these jets.
To facilitate maintenance, the various components of the bomber are situated so that they can be easily accessed through the cockpit or the bomb bays. The aircraft is designed much like one big wing. The lack of sharp angles helps confound enemy radar. The unique design also helps reduce drag, much like a bird in flight. The designers paid special attention to the area near the four engines. The engines are located deep under the hull. Their exhaust gases are cooled to decrease the aircraft's infrared footprint. Two spindles are located inside the bomb bays. They can carry up to 80 laser-controlled bombs with a total weight of up to 18 tons.
It makes everybody scared. When we take off, it's a big deal. Anywhere we go, it's a big deal. So in that aspect, it's a very scary jet.
The B-2 represents a quantum leap in aerial warfare. Even today, the bomber stands out for its futuristic design and for its ability to emerge seemingly out of nowhere and attack without warning. The development of stealth aircraft got its start in the 1960s. The CIA demanded a new spy plane that would be invulnerable to attack when penetrating Soviet airspace. The result was the A-12 and its successor, the SR-71 Blackbird. The reconnaissance aircraft could operate at great altitude and penetrate enemy airspace at 3 times the speed of sound. The crew wore a special pressure suit and flight helmet. The flight suits were designed for use in aircraft that flew at great heights for long periods. They provided warmth and oxygen and offered protection against low atmospheric pressure. The SR-71 had 2 crew members, a pilot and a reconnaissance officer. Painted black, the Blackbird was worthy of its name. It featured smooth, tapered lines. Sharp edges and angles were kept to a minimum. The surface design allowed the aircraft to avoid reflecting radar signals. This novel stealth technology served as the springboard for later developments. The reconnaissance plane penetrated the stratosphere, operating at altitudes of some 20,000 meters. Despite successful weapons testing, the SR-71 served exclusively as a spy plane, remaining in operation for nearly 3 decades. In the late 1990s, the SR-71 program was retired.
Fighters at the time could go about Mach 2. This could go Mach 3. It could fly incredibly high. Now, there were aircraft that could reach the height of the SR-71, but only in a zoom climb and only temporarily, whereas the SR-71 could fly at level attitude at 80,000 feet or higher. There was no other aircraft at the time that could do that. It was a magnificent platform. It was untouchable. Speed in the 1960s was what stealth is today. Speed was survivability. In fact, the best way for an SR-71 to deal with a surface air missile shot at it was just simply to speed up. An SR-71 flew from Los Angeles to DC in just a little over an hour. Now imagine, in that amount of time, one would drive to the airport and maybe get your bags checked in, and this airplane flew from coast to coast in a little over an hour. Originally, when the SR-71 was developed, there was the possibility that it could be used over China or even over the Soviet Union, and the SR-71 could go get photographs and intelligence information that was desperately needed, but that no other aircraft and no other Air Force could get.
In the early 1980s, the U.S. Air Force launched the world's first stealth fighter jet. The F-117A Nighthawk represented a milestone in the development of stealth technology. It flew successful missions in the First Gulf War, but the aircraft proved difficult to handle. Its design required a computer-controlled flight system for stability. The program was allowed to expire after a Nighthawk was shot down over Kosovo. The F-117 proved unsuited for regular aerial combat.
And a major downside of designing an aircraft very specifically for high stealth in one area is that you then give up capability on that aircraft in many other areas.
The F-22 Raptor also gives primacy of place to stealth technology. Though a masterwork of technology, the stealth fighter also had significant flaws, which contributed to an accident that cost the life of a pilot. Alaska, November 16, 2010. A training flight with 3 F-22 pilots was on the agenda. Jeffrey Haney, one of the most experienced U.S. Air Force fighter pilots, took the helm of one of the jets. By then, numerous pilots had reported problems with the oxygen supply. During flight preparations, nothing appeared amiss. The training exercise included engaging targets on the ground and an aerial refueling. Aerial refueling is a routine maneuver. With pressure refueling, a tanker aircraft can transfer some 3,000 liters of fuel per minute, refueling an F-22 in less than 3 minutes. After refueling, the group was supposed to continue their mission over Alaska. Until that point, everything had gone smoothly. But then Haney's aircraft plummeted to the ground. The ejection seat was not activated. During the accident investigation, questions were raised about the aircraft's oxygen supply system.
Can't go into the real details. They did a thorough investigation of some of the life support systems in there and some minor modifications within the cockpit.
The F-22 claimed the life of Jeffrey Haney. After the incident, all F-22s were fitted with new sensors and a new oxygen system, designed to protect pilots from sudden loss of consciousness. A new backup oxygen supply system was also incorporated. The F-22's life support systems were fully overhauled. The Raptor had been grounded for several months when it was returned to service for a nighttime mission. The pre-flight examination was especially thorough. The cockpit was also overhauled to improve pilot safety. The Raptor was the first stealth plane that succeeded in combining stealth technology with outstanding agility. It's the master of the skies, twice as fast as the speed of sound, nimble and fearsome in battle. Despite further technological advances and many successful missions, production of the F-22 Raptor was halted in 2011 due to soaring costs. The Eurofighter Typhoon is a true all-rounder and has been a mainstay of the German Air Force for more than a decade. The Typhoon is a twin-engine multi-role fighter that was developed by a multinational collaboration between Germany, Italy, Spain, and the UK. Originally intended as an air superiority aircraft to defuse the threat from the nations of the Warsaw Pact, the aircraft took on new duties after the Cold War. The Typhoon's flexible design allows it to be quickly adapted to different mission scenarios, including surveillance and combat missions against a variety of ground targets. The aircraft is equally suited for high and low altitude operation.
Stealth is a way of being able to do what you want to do without being detected while you're doing it. The issue with stealth is that we're able to provide a stealthy aircraft, but only within a certain area of observability. There are other ways of observing the same aeroplane. And so from that point of view, a stealthy aircraft may be harder to observe in a certain radar band. But if you change the radar band to a longer wavelength, then you can see the aircraft. If you look for the heat of that aircraft, you will be able to see him even though he may be radar low observable.
More than 500 Eurofighters have already gone into service. The aircraft can go twice the speed of sound, but its delta wings and its small forewings, called canards, make it exceptionally agile. As a result, the Eurofighter is able to outmaneuver state-of-the-art fighter jets. In a simulated dogfight against two American F-15 Eagles, the Typhoon emerged the victor.
With regard to stealth, then, the Eurofighter Typhoon aims not to fall into the trap of those performance shortfalls from being very specifically stealthy for a certain area. What the Eurofighter Typhoon has aimed to do all the way through is to maintain a balance of capabilities. We are less observable than previous generations of aircraft. The aircraft is made out of a carbon fiber composite structure which reflects less radar energy. A specific stealthy aircraft cannot have external stores that would reflect a radar energy. You have to make sure that all of your weapons and all of your fuel is carried inside the aeroplane.
Most of the Eurofighter Typhoon's weapons systems are carried outside the airplane, but that doesn't pose an obstacle.
My name is Geri Krenbühl. I'm a test pilot and this is my workplace. We're in front of a Eurofighter Typhoon. Let's take a look. This is the Taurus. It's a cruise missile, as the Americans would call it.
The Eurofighters deployed the cruise missiles hundreds of kilometers from their target. But the Taurus cruise missiles also incorporate stealth technology. Eluding enemy radar, they reach their target undetected. The Taurus has a range of at least 350 kilometers. Each missile costs 900,000 euros.
Here we have another weapon for short-haul routes. The Iris-T is a German product. It's an anti-aircraft system, a search and track system that detects heat and objects.
Speed is key in aerial combat. As soon as the pilot identifies a threat, the Iris-T springs into action. Once the weapon has its sights set on the enemy, it searches for its target and destroys it.
When other aircraft detect us, we want to confuse them. We do that by firing off towed decoys which send out fake radar signals. Those signals then confuse any incoming guided missiles.
The towed decoy casts a large radar cross-section, making it an attractive target.
There are four components of stealth technology. The first is visual, the aircraft's appearance. Is it large? Is it small? The second is, what does its heat emission profile look like? A hot aircraft is one you can see. The third is acoustic. Sound can also be tracked.
On takeoff, a B-2 makes as much noise as 10 ambulance sirens.
The fourth, which gets a lot of press coverage, is radar visibility, stealth. A pared-down silhouette offers a smaller radar cross-section, of course. That's why this silhouette is clad with radar-absorbing material. Another key factor is eliminating vertical surfaces, which dramatically increase the radar cross-section. But looking down from above, you see a large triangle that's very visible. Stealth aircraft are generally designed so that they're only hard to detect from the front. When they want to carry several weapons, they have to mount them on the outside, and then the aircrafts aren't stealthy anymore.
This increases the risk that the aircraft will be discovered by enemy radar and destroyed. But that's not an issue for the Eurofighter.
We don't even have to enter the zone targeted by enemy aircraft in order to attack our targets.
The Eurofighter attacks its targets from afar, well before it reaches the range of enemy aerial surveillance. Once fired, its weapons seek out their target, and because they're difficult to detect, they can't be destroyed in a counterattack.
Typhoon is one of the premier combat aircraft in the world today, and it is because it offers a unique combination of performance and interlinked capability with other forces that no other aircraft can actually bring to the table. And we call this a swing roll aeroplane. The Typhoon, with its wide range of weapon stations, 13 weapon stations, its performance, and the software that is able to provide the pilot with all of the information for that mission, is able in one mission to move from one type of attack to another from minute to minute.
The Eurofighter's flexibility is part of its secret. The multi-role combat aircraft can detect and identify a wide variety of targets and launch an attack. Its electronic equipment and powerful engines also offer a decisive combat advantage.
The two engines combined deliver 18 tons of thrust. At a starting weight of 17 tons, we have a weight-thrust ratio of more than 1. That means we can take off vertically. With 3 external tanks, the aircraft has a range of 1,000 nautical miles. That can be increased with aerial refueling.
During aerial refueling, the Eurofighter extends a tank nozzle. The tanker flies in front. The drogue is attached to a flexible hose. The fighter jet needs to maintain its position behind the tanker until refueling is complete. Aerial refueling extends the aircraft's range and operating time. It also boosts the aircraft's maximum payload. Fully armed, most jets can only take off with partially filled fuel tanks. A full tank would be too heavy. The fuel is then topped up during flight. Without aerial refueling, complex missions would be impossible.
It's a little bit of prior coordination for us to find good airspace, open airspace that's free of other aircraft where we can have enough room to work and give the jets enough room to join on us.
Aerial refueling is an essential and routine element of fighter jet missions.
Being a boom operator, I think, is the best enlisted job in the Air Force. Some of our duties, other than just refueling, because that's what most people know about, is we do all of the PAX monitoring, all of the cargo loading. So it's really, you get to be a part of all the operations, from the front all the way to the back, to the people who ride, to the cargo that's on here. And so it's one of the neatest jobs, very fulfilling, because you get to do so many things. So there's a wide diversity of things to learn. Of course, air refueling is obviously one of the highlights of it. It's amazing to see all the different aircrafts and be able to experience that. But all in all, to see all these different nations work together at RIMPAC and how everybody operates together is it's been a highlight of my career.
A B-2 bomber is being refueled. The boom operator and pilot work as a team. The process requires great care and attention and constant course corrections. As soon as the refueling is complete, the stealth bomber moves away to allow the next aircraft to approach, an F-35 Lightning II. The Lightning is the latest generation of stealth aircraft designed and built by Lockheed Martin. The multi-role combat aircraft is intended to replace the F-16 Fighting Falcon in the air forces of many Western countries. It's also the fourth stealth aircraft operated by the U.S. Air Force, after the F-117 Nighthawk, the B-2 Spirit, and the F-22 Raptor. Pilots who've flown the Lightning are impressed by its capabilities.
It's an amazing machine. As far as flying qualities, it's the best flying aircraft I've had the opportunity to fly.
The F-35 is built in Fort Worth, Texas. It's significantly less expensive than its predecessor, the F-22 Raptor. A fully equipped Raptor costs some $190 million. And each hour in the air costs another $70,000. That's more than even the American military budget can handle. By contrast, the F-35 is expected to cost about $90 million per unit once construction is fully underway. The F-35 has only a single engine, so it has to be a powerful one. The Lightning's engine is the most powerful ever built for use in a combat aircraft. In terms of design, the F-35 is uncompromising. Stealth, above all, is the watchword. But this comes at the expense of maneuverability and agility. Britain's Royal Air Force is adopting the F-35B, which is a short takeoff vertical landing variant. At the Patuxent River U.S. Navy Air Station, the F-35B is being tested on a ski jump ramp, similar to the one on the British HMS Queen Elizabeth warship. Thanks to an engine that can swivel, the F-35B can make do with a short runway. Once it passes these tests, the Lightning will be released for training on aircraft carriers. As part of the F-35B launch, 150 British staff members have come to the U.S. They're being trained on the Lightning at the U.S. Marine Corps Air Station Beaufort in South Carolina. The pilots are learning the ropes on modern flight simulators. High-tech learning programs support the training and help the pilots develop a feel for the aircraft. This flight simulator was developed especially for the F-35. The pilots are training a wide variety of mission scenarios and emergency situations. The program simulates all sorts of weather conditions, times of day, and topographies. The simulator offers a safe way to train that's also more cost-effective than training in the skies. The new graduates also include 4 British pilots. They've just completed advanced training in the Royal Air Force, and now they're getting acquainted with the F-35.
We've been flying 10 turn 8s, which is a fairly high ops tempo, while also satisfying all of our primary skill sets. So we've been able to exercise our offensive counter-air, our defensive counter-air, suppression and destruction of enemy air defenses, as well as our close air support tactics out here in a joint environment. Believing that you're invisible is hard, so the ability to come out here and fly against the 4th gen assets and realistically see that the stealth capabilities of the F-35 are as advertised.
And it's really amazing to come out of a debrief and have the Red Air say, yeah, we never saw you the whole time we were flying.
The U.S. has been fighting a lot of wars against Afghanistan and Iraq where there's no air threat. However, this aircraft is ready not only for the war in Afghanistan and Iraq, but also the next war, the future war that might be against a near-peer adversary that would actually launch aircraft against us.
This is going to be an awesome new step for combat fighter tactics as far as the technology. So a combination of the stealth and the sensor fusion that the pilot gets to see will allow us to go places that the F-16 can't go right now.
To enhance its stealth capabilities, the F-35 carries its weapons inside the aircraft. Shortly before the attack, the weapons bays are opened and the bombs are released.
jet and the platform, the avionics that it has is a game changer for what we can do.
The B version of the Lightning is a STOVL aircraft, which stands for Short Takeoff and Vertical Landing. A Rolls-Royce lift system is integrated to allow the new fighter to hover and land vertically. It consists of a ducted fan installed behind the cockpit and a swivel module mounted at the rear of the engine. That allows the Lightning to hover and land with pinpoint precision. This is how it works. At the rear of the F-35B, thrust is produced by a rotating nozzle. The pilot opens various valves to activate the ducted fan and swivel module. Both of these elements are powered by the engine. The system can also be used to take off from a short runway. The downward thrust from the engine helps provide vertical lift, making it ideally suited for takeoffs from an aircraft carrier. The USS America is 257 meters long. The warship carries helicopters and STOVL aircraft. An aircraft carrier does not provide a stable takeoff platform. The waves keep the carrier in constant motion. For the pilots, it's a challenge. Royal Air Force, the U.S. Marines, and U.S. Navy are also using the F-35B. Its short takeoff and vertical landing capabilities permit its use on small aircraft carriers and amphibious assault ships like the USS America. The F-35B is a powerful addition to their combat repertoire. The fighter jet is intended to support the U.S. Marines during invasion and landing operations. Lightning II is currently the world's most advanced combat jet.
It's an amazing machine. As far as flying qualities, it's the best flying aircraft I've had the opportunity to fly. But I do feel very fortunate to be a part of this program and to lead the way to make this machine that's already pretty good, make it even better. The capabilities that the plane will bring to the fleet are phenomenal.
Takeoff and landing on an aircraft carrier requires special skills.
We're in an environment they just can't recreate back on land. The ship is a dynamic place. It's a living and breathing thing, and it rolls and heaves and pitches, and we can't create that on the land. And everything we're doing out here is to test that dynamic interface between the aircraft and the ship flight deck.
The aircraft are also maintained and repaired on board. This helps ensure the USS America's mission readiness.
These major engineering events on land is significantly easier, I would argue, than doing them at sea, in which we're in a dynamic environment, the noise, the movement of the ship, etc. So that brings its own challenges.
Special safety precautions must be observed when the weapons are loaded. The loading takes place right before the combat jets depart on a mission. The deck crew wear colored shirts to identify their roles. The ordnance crew wears red. Purple designates the fuel crew. Yellow is worn by the handlers and directors, who are involved with taxiing aircraft. The crew communicates with hand signals. The F-35B is ideally suited to the short deck of the USS America. Its short takeoff capabilities allow it to be utilized on an amphibious assault ship. The Lightning is a powerful addition to the ship's combat arsenal.
Now we have a stealth capability of a relatively moderately sized ship, less than 50,000 tons, that can be anywhere in the world, which means there's nowhere in the world that an enemy can hide. if we have the ability to send an amphibious ship there with F-35, then we can prosecute targets.
Jester 6-1 targeted. Jester 6-1, stand by.
Air-to-surface precision missiles allow the Lightning to undertake precision targeting. On return, the pilot completes a vertical landing. First, the speed is reduced. Then the aircraft hovers before gently landing on deck. The Tiger attack helicopter also incorporates stealth technology. The Tiger was developed by a French-German joint venture. Feared by its enemies, the helicopter is a favorite among its pilots.
Piloting Tiger, it's really exciting because it's like driving a sport car.
The Tiger features a small radar signature. Along with missiles, it's fitted with a turret-mounted 30mm cannon.
We use it often, and it's really good weapons with more precision.
The French Tiger is fitted with a chin-mounted gun cannon. Total capacity is 450 rounds of anti-tank munitions. The helicopter can also be armed with guided missiles and unguided rockets for use against ground targets.
The Tiger is feared in the valleys. It is feared because it already proved to be very dangerous.
In the future, the French Tiger will be equipped with an additional laser-guided system. The combat helicopter's stealth capabilities will also be enhanced. Another fearsome hunter, the Zeeleeuw submarine of the Royal Netherlands Navy. It patrols the Somalian coast, traversing the depths in near silence. The submarine also features stealth capabilities, which help it protect the Horn of Africa from pirates.
The good thing of this submarine is that she's able to operate for a long period, up to 6 weeks submerged, out of area, expeditionary. She's a very quiet submarine because she's on electric propulsion.
Submarines have always specialized in hunting their prey silently and hidden from view.
The submarine patrols the Somalian coast, gathering intelligence about pirates.
The pirates along the coast of Somalia pose a threat to important international shipping routes, as well as the supply of food to millions of Somalians. To combat piracy, international naval task forces are patrolling the region.
The submarine provided the most valuable contribution to the identification of pirates and the suppression of further pirate activities.
At nearly 70 meters in length, the Zeeleeuw is a walrus-class submarine. It's been equipped with state-of-the-art radar and sonar technology. The submarine is very silent, which makes it difficult to detect. It was deployed for about 2 months as part of NATO's Ocean Shield anti-piracy operation on the Horn of Africa. The crew have been working together for years and are a well-trained team. Everyone has a job to do. The submarine is equipped with 20 torpedoes and 20 sub-harpoon missiles. The submarine has spent more than 2 months patrolling these waters, and thanks to its stealth capabilities, it's racked up numerous successful missions. Ground vehicles also make use of stealth technology. The Boxer armored vehicle incorporates stealth capabilities into its armor. Its infrared signature was also reduced. The 4-axle vehicle provides off-road mobility. The high-tech vehicle comes in several different versions and is based on a modular design to allow maximum flexibility.
The vehicle is comprised of the platform vehicle and the mission module in the rear.
This module can be swapped out to meet different mission requirements. Here, the platform vehicle is being operated with a mobile command post module. The Boxer features anti-radar paint, and its points of vulnerability have been reduced to a minimum. The German military has deployed Boxers on a number of NATO missions. The experience obtained during these missions will be used to improve the vehicle's stealth capabilities. The Russian weapons industry also uses stealth technology. The Sukhoi Su-57 is one of the most sophisticated fighter jets in the world. Its stealth capabilities are so advanced that a NATO military transport only noticed the Russian jet when it suddenly appeared at its wings. In March 2018, the Su-57 had its baptism of fire, which it passed with flying colors. 2 Su-57s flew combat missions in Syria for several days without being discovered. A few months later, the Su-57 had another encounter with a NATO transport plane. A Hercules military transport belonging to the U.S. Air Force was on a routine flight, headed toward the Black Sea. After more than 30 minutes in international airspace, a Russian stealth fighter approached unnoticed. Suddenly, the Hercules co-pilot noticed a movement on the port side. He could hardly believe his eyes when he saw the Russian jet flying near his left wing. Just as quickly and silently as it appeared, the Su-57 vanished.
Air forces cannot afford a large number of aircraft in service anymore. And so we need to be able to offer a customer air force an aeroplane that can be the backbone of their military capability in the air.
Around the world, scientists and engineers are developing new stealth technologies. In the future, they hope to render objects invisible to the human eye. This would be the fulfillment of an age-old dream, going into battle protected by a cloak of invisibility.